Hello! Welcome to FrankenState of the Union 2025! I had a ton of fun doing it last year in just the little video that it was, but I thought this would be such a fun, stream to do. So, here we are. So yeah, last year I did a little video that was just, FrankenState of the Union, where it was just me sitting on my bed, chatting about the different things that I had read, seen, and gone through in 2024, and I wanted to do it again because it was a really fun way to for me to just recap all of the things that I had encountered, and you guys seem to really like it too, so I thought, let's do it again. So I've got a lovely document up on my second screen here that's the books I saw, some other things that are neither books nor movies that we're gonna get to that are funky and delightful, and then of course movies, and then talking about what we're anticipating in 2026, as well as we'll do a little bit of recap on us, how we're doing here at Uncanny Productions, and what you guys can expect from us in the coming year. So yeah, without further ado, I'm just gonna kind of get started. So we're starting off with the books. To start with, I'll start with the first book I read this year, which is The Afterlife of Frankenstein. It's a really phenomenal. I've had this book for a while, but I hadn't actually read it, and so this year I was like, I'm gonna resolve to read this. And so what it is, so first off, it's written by David Sander, who's delightful. I've actually gotten to talk to him a little bit. I emailed him a while ago because I had some questions about stuff in this. He's a lovely guy. I'm gonna adjust this so you can see me better. So what this is a book, well, it is a collection of stories, more correctly, that are clearly inspired by Frankenstein. There's three categories. It's monsters, Byronic heroes, and mad science, if I remember correctly. Yeah, creatures and monsters, Byronic heroes and sympathetic monsters, mad science. Oh, there's 4 parts. I lied. There's 4 parts. Part 4 is from automatons to robots. But yeah, so it's all these different stories that are said to be inspired by Frankenstein. So we've got things on here like Presumption, the play that was written by or based on Frankenstein. The Vampire by Paula Dory's in here. Goblin Market is in here. Mary Shelley wrote a short story called Roger Dodsworth, the Reanimated Englishman. It's delightful. By the way, I love that one. But yeah, so it's all of these historical stories, just kind of all compiled together in this really lovely edition that you can see, I'm only part way through. I'm still in part 2 of the Byronic Heroes, which has things like Wuthering Heights, The Mortal Immortal, things like that. But it's really, really good. And actually, because of this book, I discovered, some of the stories that are in here, changed the timeline of Frankenstein for me in my head. Because one of the stories that's in here, I talked about it a little bit at Grand Rapids Comic-Con, but one of the stories in here is The Monster Made by Man. Which, I did a little write-up for our Patreon, to kind of talk about it, but it's this short story Frankenstein fanfic from 1825, and it's wild. There's so much in here that is oh, this is clearly Frankenstein fanfic, we're basically just doing Frankenstein but slightly different, but then there's a lot of things in here that it's oh, whoa, hold on. We went in a crazy direction with that. And I just think it's really interesting of this, early fanfic, you know? It's a wild one, and I was really excited to find it in here, because I wasn't even aware of it. But yeah, and it came out in 1825, so only, 2 years after the play came out, because the play was 1823, and it's just fascinating to me, and the fact that you could just publish your fan fiction and get away with that, it's crazy. That's gonna be a running theme for tonight, by the way. The amount of published fan fiction that is out there is crazy. because, yeah, speaking of, I believe that puts me on to my next one. There is somehow an even earlier Frankenstein fanfiction that I found called Gwelligord. What's Gwelligord, you might ask? I've never heard of it. Neither had I. Gwelligord, or what is its other name? Gwelligord, or the Child of Sin. It's a Welsh Frankenstein. Well, so it's a Welsh story. It's a gothic novel. There's 3 volumes to it. Fanfiction is forever, as it should be. But Gwelligord, I haven't read it. I haven't read all of it yet, so technically it's maybe a little bit cheating to be on my list here, but I read the part that matters. Because what happened is a friend of mine got this book of gothic novel summaries, and Gwelligord is in here, and it talks about, like, what the actual plot of it is, but then in the sort of side minor plots that are here at the end, a friend of mine was like, hey, you should check this out, because in this story, there's a conversation between 2, like, I think they might be Welsh gentlemen. Gwelly on my gourd till I child of sin. How dare you? How could you do that to me? Oh, no. Okay. Well, I've said that now, and it's preserved by the magic of video, so just gonna suffer with that one, I guess. Anyways, so these 2 gentlemen are talking, and one of them is like, oh, by the way, you know that book Frankenstein? It's based on a true story, because I got paid to pretend. There was this guy, rich noble guy, and I got paid by his servant to pretend to be his creation come to life, so that we could extort him for money. And we kind of drove him mad for a while, and I felt bad, so I told him the truth, and then he wrote it down and embellished a bunch of the parts, and then published it under the name of Mary Shelley. Which is so wild. It's so wild. There's so much about this that is so wild to me. First off, the fact that this is from 1820. 1820. Frankenstein had been out for 2 years. Only 2. And already, first off, like, the way they talk about, like, oh, you've heard of this, you think it was written by a lady, but ladies don't invent such pretty things. Like, they're already finding ways to try to, like, discount Mary Shelley and her hard work. But it is so silly to me that they're like, yeah, I got paid to pretend to be a monster, and we drove this British nobleman insane. We got money out of it, and he got money out of it since he published this book and is, you know, living on this book that did so well. But it's so crazy to me. It's just really crazy to me. There's something very fun about it that is like, yeah, Frankenstein's a true story. It's based on an epic prank that we pulled. But it's wild. And it gets into the guys where he's like, well, what about his family that died? What about the British sea captain? What about, you know, all of these things? Yeah, here we go. The father, the brothers, and Henry Clerval, and Elizabeth, and Justine Moritz, and the captain and the crew. And then he says, not quite ideal personages, but superstitious characters sketched from real life. Elizabeth was a kind lady that would, if she could, have been a wife, but I exposed her character, murdered her fame, and she was contented to be a mistress. Wild. And again, 1820! This was 2 years after Frankenstein. And it's a complete, like, I think I captured all of the pages that were relevant, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages. It's 6 pages of a 3-volume novel. And as far as I'm aware, it does not come back in any way. But again, I haven't read Gwelligord, because I can only find volumes 1 and volumes 3. There's not a lot of, like, scholarship or documentation on this book. Like, this is a book that doesn't have a Wikipedia page. So I need to get access to JSTOR or something to see what I can find. I emailed David Sandner again and was like, hey, have you heard of this story? Because I imagine he was doing like some serious research for this book, and I have to imagine, well, I mean, maybe he didn't hear about it, but if he didn't, I would love him to know about it, because I found it and I'm absolutely tickled by it. So my plan is to dig into this a little bit more. I might do a proper write-up on it for Patreon again, like I did for The Monster Made by Man. But yeah, crazy. And again, published fanfiction. These people get away with everything. I love it. Oh, I didn't say the author for Gwelligord. Gwelligord was written by A.K. Newman, who also wrote a couple of other not super well-known Gothic novels. So very curious to dig into that and learn more about that. So I've been trolling the Frankenstein Reddit. And by trolling, I mean lurking. I'm not rage baiting or anything like that. And somebody was like, oh, guys, check out my Frankenstein pop-up book. And I was like, oh, that sounds kind of fun and cute. And then I looked at it, and it's epic as hell. Like, the art is crazy, but really, really cool. And it's a pop-up book, so, like, they've got such cool scenes that really, like, I feel bring the emphasis. So here, obviously, is the lightning bolt striking the tree, from Victor's childhood. But what's cool is, like, there's also these, like, littler pop-up pages in kind of the front. So it's a really interesting way to do the story. And it's very condensed, because you can only fit so much text on these pages. But, like, look at that guy. But yeah, you can only fit so much text, so that it's kind of a reduced version. But it's really cool, I'm not gonna lie. And they do, like, the whole thing. Like, here's Victor in boat. Victor doing what he does best and hanging out in a boat. Yeah, it's so cool. My favorite page. Here's the monster getting tormented by villagers. It's really cool. My favorite page is the one at the very end. Yeah, because, so, those of us who have read the novel know the novel ends with, the creature being like, I'm gonna take Victor's body and I'm gonna go off into the tundra and I'm gonna burn us both on their funeral pyre. This book shows us the funeral pyre. Get a load of that! Is that sick as hell? It's so tall! But yeah, it's really cool. The version that the person posted on the Frankenstein Reddit was in Spanish, and so I didn't know if it was going to be, if I was going to find like a translated version, but thank God I did. It's really cool. So yeah, let me... Oh, I haven't been saying writers' names other than David Sandner. So yeah, David Sandner, Monster Made by Man. I don't believe we have an author for. Frankenstein pop-up here. We've got David Hawcock, Claire Bampton, Anthony Williams, and Rob Taylor. And they all did a phenomenal job on this. This is so cool. This is honestly, I think, one of my like favorite things to get in my collection. And it seems to be a part of a collection of classic pop-up stories, which tells me there might be other, like, Gothic novels or something that might be... Because I'm pretty sure I saw a Dracula one, and that'd be also very cool to have. So, that's pretty sick. Next book on my list. We're cruising. This is Frankenstein's Aunt. I went antiquing with my mother, because I love antiquing. And I found this randomly on one of the shelves, and I was like, what is that? I have to know everything. And all I read, because there was clearly like a sleeve that was here that they put the summary of on the inside rather than putting it on the back. And the summary here is, next stop Frankenstein, on a wild and stormy night, the kind that nightmares are made of. Aunt Frankenstein, hugely tall and smoking a cigar, arrives to restore her nephew's castle to order and clear the family's blackened name. She ignores the castle's sinister history as the home of the terrible man-made monster and refuge of vampires and werewolves. What she, Hannah Frankenstein, needs is a good strong pair of hands about the place. To the villagers' mounting alarm, she has not to look far. So immediately I was like, this sounds ridiculous. I want it. So my mom snatched it from me, bought it, and it became a Christmas present. So I have now read it, and it's so fun. This, again, published fan fiction, which is crazy, because this book is specifically the Frankenstein of the films. It is specifically, like, the Universal monsters, because what happens in this is, I think it's a sequel to... It's clearly set, like, right after Bride of Frankenstein, because it disregards anything that happens in Son of Frankenstein and after, because Igor's there, but he's different, and it's a whole thing. But, so she, Hannah Frankenstein, who is a 6'2" woman who loves smoking cigars and drinking sherry, she's amazing and I love her. She is coming to the castle to repair what her good-for-nothing nephew ruined, and she's there to fix the castle and repair the family name. And while she's there, she finds the Frankenstein monster. She's there, she's got Igor, he kind of comes with the castle, and she also has her intellectual boy toy secretary named Franz, who is adorable. Their dynamic is hilarious. Hannah Frankenstein is an absolute icon. I love her so much. Because the things that happen in this book, they're like going through the castle to find what's there. She finds the Frankenstein monster, and she's like, we do need someone around the castle to do some physical labor. What if we brought this guy back and had him just do the repairs? Because I'm not gonna do it. Igor, you're not gonna do it. Franz, I love you, but you're a little too dainty to be doing it. So they bring the monster back, and there keeps being chapters that are interstitials of, like, the villagers that are like, something sneaky's going on in that house. I don't trust that Frankenstein woman. She's too tall. Like, stuff like that. And when they bring the monster back, they put him in a straw hat, and have him do gardening, because the castle is, like, super overgrown. And so she's like, we're just gonna send him out and have him just clear away the thorns and briars and stuff like that. Give him a straw hat so that he doesn't have to worry about the sun, and we'll just let him go. And then it, like, cuts to the villagers, and the guy's like, I saw the Frankenstein monster, he's up at the castle. And they're like, whoa, what was he doing? It was like, he was tearing apart bushes and wearing a straw hat. And everyone's like, well, that sounds like he's gardening. Do we need to be worried about that? It's really funny. But the other things that happen in this book, Larry Talbot shows up. Not just a werewolf man, specifically Larry Talbot from The Wolf Man shows up. And he's like, hey, Hannah, sorry, he doesn't call her Hannah, he calls her Mrs. Frankenstein. A lot of people just call her Aunt Frankenstein, like, in the book. They're like, hey, Aunt Frankenstein. It's like, she's not your aunt. I don't know, maybe it's like a title thing. Because, thing I didn't mention, this book is Swedish. This is a Swedish series of books. There are 3 novels technically in the series, but the 3rd novel is... So we got Frankenstein's Aunt Returns, and then apparently a TV miniseries was made based off of these books, and there was a novelization of the TV series, and that's called Frankenstein's Tante, which is a German novel. So we're gonna call that a novelization, leave that out. So there's 2 novels, but they're Swedish, which is delightful. So this is a English translation. I don't know if I'm gonna get lucky in finding the sequel in English at an antique store, so I'm probably gonna have to actually, like, buy a copy. But it's turning to be a little bit tricky to find, because these aren't super in print right now. I can't go to Schuler's and be like, hey, you guys got Frankenstein's Aunt Returns? They're not gonna have it. So this is a book series from 1978. And, yeah, no, Larry Talbot, the Wolfman, shows up. And I'm genuinely wondering how she got away with that. Because, like, Frankenstein and Dracula is one thing. Because those are public domain characters. They're classic literature figures. They can be in anything. Larry Talbot is specific to the movies. So I don't know how she gets away with, like, using that. But he shows up and he's like, hey, Mrs. Frankenstein, your nephew used to let me lock myself in the East Tower on full moon nights. Can I do that here? Would you be cool if I did that? And she's like, yeah, sure. You sound insane, and I don't believe you about being a werewolf, but yeah, if you need to lock yourself in a tower, have fun, I guess. And what winds up happening is her and her intellectual boy toy secretary are like, hey, Larry, the moon's a big rock. Moon's a big rock in the sky. You don't need to be afraid of that. Maybe if you just learn some science about the moon, you won't have to worry about turning into a werewolf. And they're right. It turns out they're right. The other thing that happens in this book is Dracula shows up. Dracula shows up, and he's also like, hey, your nephew used to let me stay here, but instead of locking me in the East Tower, he would let me stay in the dungeon, basically, where I have a spare coffin. And Hannah Frankenstein is like, yeah, alright. Come on in, I guess. She also doesn't believe him about being a vampire. And it's really funny, because Dracula starts hitting on her. He calls her a full-blooded woman, and she goes, hey man, 1, I love garlic. 2, when's the last time you had a job? She bullies Dracula. Not bullies. She encourages him to return to his homeland and get a job. And he does. So Hannah Frankenstein, biggest badass out there. I love her so much. I cannot wait to read the second one. The way the book ends is after the big party happens, Henry, in this case, because it's based off of the movies, Henry shows up, her good-for-nothing nephew, and he's like, wow, thank you for all the work you did, Auntie. I've learned 0 lessons, and I'm gonna do my bullshit again. And she gets so mad and annoyed, she's like, I'm leaving. I'm done. I'm getting out of here. And the last line of the book is, then Aunt Frankenstein picked up her suitcases and jumped right out of this story. She left the castle, she left town, and she left the book. And honestly, I love it. I love her. This series is so funny. I'm gonna try to find the second one. I look forward to talking about that one next year. But yeah, that is Frankenstein's Aunt by, I didn't even say the name, by Alan Rune Pettersson. Swedish. But yeah. Next is this baby. This is the complete screenplay for the Guillermo del Toro Frankenstein film that came out this year. I got this as a Christmas present, and it's delightful. It's the complete screenplay, so this is what their shooting script was, but reading it, there's a couple of scenes that aren't in the movie, there's a couple of scenes that are, like, rearranged, as well as, I want to find a good example, because there's also things in here, like, they've got shot lists and storyboards in here, which is really cool. Because you can see, like, oh, this was, like, there's certain things in here that kind of feel like, oh, that seems like there was maybe something that they kind of stumbled upon on the day of. But then there's things that are like, oh, this was thoroughly structured from start to finish. And I love that. There's a couple of things in here that are really cool. There's a cutscene where we learn that Victor killed his dad. Daddy Frankenstein died not because of natural causes, but Victor poisons him with plants that he harvests from his mother's grave, which is hardcore and so cool, and I love that. Yeah, it's really delightful. If you enjoyed the Frankenstein movie, certainly feel free to check this out. It's mostly the same, but you can kind of see, if you're a freak like me and you love seeing like the developmental process and seeing like, oh, this scene was originally supposed to be like this, but then they shifted it and moved some things around. Like, because there's pretty much everything in the movie is in here, but there are like, there's scenes that were structured differently that were supposed to happen in a different order, and so it's really cool to me to be like, oh, I see why they moved that. That's smart, because I would have done that too. But yeah, it's very cool. I really enjoy it. I've got this bad boy, and I also earlier this year got this guy, which is the Frankenstein art book, which has, first off, it's beautiful, but like it's just got really gorgeous like behind the scenes photos, as well as really cool text about the development of the movie and, you know, the certain processes of everything pretty much. So, you know, here we've got some character costumes for Mom Frankenstein. Yeah, floor plans, like it's just really cool. So again, if you really enjoyed the new Frankenstein movie, this is a cool book to have. You can see Guillermo's like sketches, that because he's been wanting to make this movie for so long, and I'm just really glad that he finally did. We'll talk more about this obviously once we get into movies, but yeah, so these are the books. This one's too big to fit on my my Frankenstein shelf, so currently I just have it sitting on top and I move it out of the way when we need to film. I gotta find a better spot for it, or I need a different shelf, but I really like the shelf that we got and I don't want to get rid of it. So right now I'm just gonna have to operate around this honking thing. It's heavy and it's thick and I love it. Alright, so I believe that is my last book. So now we can talk about some of the other things that I found this year. Before we jump right into movies. First and foremost, the thing that consumed my mind the most this year was a friend of mine introduced me to a podcast called Who's Afraid of the Dark Universe. And what it is these two creators, Dylan Ross and Dalton Deshane, they together were like, hey, remember The Mummy that starred Tom Cruise? Remember how they were trying to make like a Marvel Cinematic Universe, but with the Universal monsters? What if those movies had existed? And what if they were good? What if we wrote those movies? Or at the very least, like, do like kind of scriptments for them. And they did. Here is their YouTube page. But they did 4 full, like, you know the way that like Marvel did like phase 1, phase 2. They did 4 phases of these Universal monster movies. And they're awesome. They're really good. Like I listened through all of them, and I was so mad by the end of the podcast because I was like, why don't these movies exist? Because I want to watch them so bad. Yeah, they start with the Tom Cruise Mummy. Oh, you can't really see that here. Let me see if I can fix that. That's a little off screen. There we go. Oh, here, I'll trim myself a little bit so you can see better. Because I want you to see the Invisible Man one. That's my favorite one. But yeah, so they started with The Mummy, and kind of went from there. and did like a full 4 phase of films, and they're awesome. Because they did, the first one that they did was Frankenstein, which is what my friend originally sent to me, because he's like, I'm really interested in this, I feel like you would really like it. And then, yeah, they did The Mummy, they did Frankenstein, they did The Wolfman, they did The Invisible Man. I want their Invisible Man to exist so bad, because it's a slapstick comedy starring John C. Reilly. It's a horror comedy heist, and it's so good. But yeah, so they did like the full 4 phases. Like, we got the Black Lagoon. They did a version of Bride of Frankenstein that they called The Bride and Frankenstein. Just a little bit of a cheat. The end results are good. But as someone who loves The Bride of Frankenstein and was expecting something regarding The Bride of Frankenstein, was a little bitter. But yeah, they did all of these movies, and they're just so good. Especially the ones that are like the Avengers, like big crossover ones where like everyone's together. They did like full scripts for those ones, and they're crazy and awesome and just really, really good. The problem is, I didn't super enjoy their Frankenstein episode. Like, I loved concepts of it and things about it, and the end story that they take the monster on is really good. But the actual, like, Frankenstein movie that they designed, like, it's fine. I don't like that they made the monster essentially like a serial killer, kind of, and that he's like killing innocent people so that he can see the love on the faces of the people who love the people he kills. That part I don't get and don't super like. But the overall concept that they take it with, where our scientist is Caroline Frankenstein, and her father is Victor Frankenstein, and he won't let her do science, and so he kicks her out of the family, essentially, and then she, when he dies, brings him back to life to prove, hey, asshole, I can do science really well, and now you're gonna suffer. So they found a really cool way to make the scientist a woman, as well as making Victor Frankenstein the monster, which I think is really cool. That part I loved, and the emotions and the family dynamic in that film, great. I really, really loved that. It was just the monster being a serial killer so that he can see what love looks like is a little meh to me. But again, the overall journey that this whole series of, I think they said 60 scripts, 60 films or something in that vein, or maybe it's closer to 39. There's several numbers. I don't remember what exactly they all are. 29 scripts. 29 scripts, 3 years of work. That's what it is. The journey that the monster goes on over 29 movies is very, very good. And the way that they, like, looped in, like, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, so good. It's just delightful. So, if you like Frankenstein and you like the Universal Monsters, please check out this podcast. It's so good. It's called Who's Afraid of the Dark Universe? Everything about it is stunning. It made me lose my mind, where I was like frantically listening to these episodes, like finding excuses to go on long drives so I could keep listening. It's so good. So yeah, y'all remember Wishbone? Y'all remember that little pup, Wishbone? Oh, here, let me fix this here. Wishbone did a Frankenstein episode, back in, what's the date on this? 1995. It's called Frankenbone. and it's a lot. I knew it existed because I think a friend of mine or something sent it to me and was like, "Oh, are you gonna do an episode on this?" But I hadn't actually like sat down and watched it. There we go. Okay, cool. I hadn't actually sat down to watch it, and I finally have now. And you know what? Here, let me hush the tunes for a moment, so you can see this in its glory. Because the idea is there is a frame narrative of the science fair at school, and one of the kids makes a robot that he's like convinced is alive, and the robot escapes, and so they're like, we gotta find this robot. And in between there's these interstitials of here, I'll just hop to this bit so you can see this.
6 store-bought brands. They melted the macaroni right off of my artwork. I needed a glue that wouldn't do that.
I needed a glue to hold these bones together.
Am I late for dinner? Oh, hi, Wanda.
Hey, you guys, look what I found at the library.
Great.
Yeah, I thought it might help out. Wow, this is really coming along.
Is it?
Thanks so much for helping
What
out,
kind
Wanda.
of skeleton is that?
Sure. It was fun.
Oh, and I found this. I thought it might help smooth out some of the edges.
Thanks.
Oh, this is turning into quite a project.
Well, we like to keep the wheels of progress rolling around here, don't we?
Yeah, science marches on.
And interspersed with that is...
After
it's
months
really
of exhaustive research and intense preparation, Frankenstein was ready to test his creation. This is it. The moment I've worked so hard for. Will I be able to infuse a spark of being into this lifeless thing? Is this the first step toward mankind's victory over mortality?
I love a Jack Russell Terrier being the face of Gothic literature.
Here goes everything.
Oh, good boy. Can you imagine being that actor? Of being the Frankenstein monster, and your
More power.
creator is a dog?
I need more power. Is it working? This will be my finest moment.
Speed up here so you can
Since you
see some of this. Here's the robot that they're chasing.
Aha! There you are! Face to face at last! Whoa! You fiend!
Frankenstein, you made me live.
I did.
You must wonder what I, your creation, have been doing since you brought me to life.
I know what you've been doing. You've left nothing but death and destruction in your wake.
I have wandered the earth in search of love and friendship. Since you abandoned me, I have had to make my own way in the world, and it has been difficult.
You are an inhuman monster!
You made me this way!
Yes, I admit it! I've made a horrible mistake!
Make me a friend.
So you get it. You got the vibes. Oh my gosh. And because, I mean, this episode is only... It's actually less than, because I think this has there's like a behind the scenes, there's a behind the scenes featurette. So this episode is like 25 minutes or less. And half of the screen time is used for the story about the kids in the modern day. So you've got 15 minutes, maybe less, to tell the entirety of Frankenstein as quick as you can. And so there are a lot of liberties taken with this version. For instance, like they fully like hand wave a lot of the creature's story. Where you see this basically where he's like, I know what you've been doing, death and destruction. It's like, okay, well, maybe not. I got a little heated when we were watching it because I was like, well, no, actually, he was trying to be a normal guy and it kept not working. But because they kind of take that out, they just make him a violent, inhuman creature who's awful and wants to destroy things. And I didn't super appreciate that. But it's made for children, and they had like less than 10 minutes, so I think like, how would I have tried to do that? Would it have been much better? Probably not. They're not going for nuance really on Wishbone, but yeah. So I watched that this year. The episode is called Frankenbone. It's on YouTube in its entirety, so if you want to check it out, please do. It's delightful. It's really funny. This is a really cool one. I believe this was a birthday gift or a Christmas gift of some variety that I was given a couple of years ago, but I had never actually listened to it. But it's this really cool vinyl of Famous Monsters Speak. And one side is Frankenstein and the other side is Dracula. I have not listened to the Dracula side, but the Frankenstein side I have. Finally got to this year, and essentially what it is it's a gathering of scientists who are like, hey, everybody knows the Frankenstein story. What a tragedy that was. We found these tapes that are presumably the recordings of the monster from that experiment. And we're going to listen to them as an academic conference here. And it's really cool. And the guy who does it, because it was written by... It's written by Cherny Berg, but voiced by Gabriel Dell. And there's only really two voices that you hear, the monster and the, like, scientist who, like, intros the thing. I didn't realize they were the same guy the first time I listened to it, because he's a good voice actor. This is another, like, obviously aggressively truncated version, but I was really impressed with it, actually, because, like, there's a lot of, like, emotional complication that they managed to put in this audio. There's some really great lines in it that are, like, where the monster's just talking and he's like, what do you call me? They call me Frankenstein's monster, but you never gave me a name. You never gave me a name, but I have yours. And like, it's very good. There's some really interesting things in it. They do a really good job with it. There is like some weird, he does a lot more like, I have to kill. I'm gonna kill, and I'm gonna empty the world of its people, so then you'll be as alone as I am, Victor. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. But overall, it's really, really, really good. The full audio of it is on YouTube. If you ever want to check that out. Frankenstein's Monster Talks.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are in the Great Hall of the Institute of Technology in Zurich, Switzerland. As you have already read in the newspapers, a most amazing discovery has been made in this most peaceful of countries. It seems that Dr. Victor Frankenstein, once thought to be a character in a story, did actually exist and created what we have come to call his monster. The purpose of this meeting today is to hear, for the first time, the actual voice of the monster. Strange as it may seem, Dr. Frankenstein made crude recordings of the monster's voice. Ghastly creation.
I remember that night. I left your house, Frankenstein, and fear walked in front of me to frighten mindless beasts. Lights. Yes, lights and people. Cozy and warm. A family. Yes, together. Warm and loving. Touching. Mother, father, child touching. Not for me. Shall I wait until they sleep? Or is the horror twice as horrible when it comes out of nowhere? I trust! I break! No man can stop me!
So you get the vibe. It's really cool, honestly. I really enjoy it. I recently started making mixtapes because I was gifted several blank tapes from a lovely friend of mine, and now that I'm in my new house, I'm gonna swap back to my face. Now that I am in my new house and I've got my audio system set up, I was like, well, I've got these blank tapes. Why not make some mixtapes? It'd be fun. And I used a bunch of audio from this, because there's all sorts of, like, there's obviously that intro where they're like, and now we'll start the tape. And so I was like, that's a good intro to a tape. So I used a bunch of audio from it to make a mixtape that I was going to have it just be kind of generally spooky. And then I was like, what if I actually, like, deliberately make a mixtape in regards to the monster? So it's my Frankenstein's monster themed mixtape. Maybe I'll do like a giveaway or something for that. If we get to I don't know, if we get to 300 subscribers, I'll give away that mixtape, and someone else can enjoy the things that I make at 3 a.m. sitting in front of my audio cabinet. That was from 1963. I don't know what it was made for, if it was made specifically for the record, or if it was done as a radio show first. That I don't know. But I think it's really, really cool. Oh, well, I suppose it says now for the first time on this record. So maybe it was just made straight for the record. But either way, it's really cool. It's one of my favorite things that I have in my collection. I was gifted a Frankenstein radio show on record, but I haven't actually listened to it yet. I'm hoping to do that in the new year. So I'll talk about it next year. So those are my non-book, non-movie items to discuss. So now we're on to movies. First one I wanted to talk about, I don't actually have on hand, which is the 1973 Dan Curtis Frankenstein, that was made for TV. I don't have it on hand to show you, but for those who have been watching the channel, you will know that the next episode is going to be about the Dan Curtis Frankenstein. So you're going to hear a whole lot about it in hopefully maybe a month. The editing process has begun. We filmed and everything. The intro sequence has been made available as our sort of teaser trailer for the episode, which was so fun to film. The people who stayed at Comic-Con to help us film that were the nicest, and it was just an absolute hoot of me just being like, all right, yell! And they were like, whoa! Oh, it was perfect. Everyone who was a part of that, my heroes. I loved you all. So, the Dan Curtis episode is coming soon. I'll brief overview. It's a really good version that I super enjoyed. Obviously it's truncated because you kind of have to when you're making it for TV. But I really like the way it handles the monster. I like the way that it handles Victor, honestly. I think it does a really good job of, like, framing Victor as the complicated character that he is. The ending is really sad, but it's really good. So I can't wait to talk to you guys more about that one. You're gonna love it. I love it. But yeah, so that's the 1973, written by Dan Curtis and directed by Glenn Jordan. Excited to talk to you guys about that one more. Then one that I actually do have on hand. I got the 2015 Frankenstein movie, where they were like, what if we made Frankenstein a modern horror? And, it is interesting, because there's so much good in this movie that is unfortunately aggressively weighed down by a lot of weird and a lot of bad. Because the cast in this is really, honestly, quite good. You got Carrie-Anne Moss, you got Tony Todd, you got Danny Houston. Like, the cast is really good, and there's a lot of really good, like, things in it. And I think the overall concept of making Frankenstein a modern horror is good. I think there is a way to do that. And the idea of him being, like, a 3D printed creation, I think that's really interesting. There's a lot of other stuff that kind of got put in here that I didn't super enjoy. Yeah, there's some, like, weird, like, Oedipal stuff. And, like, I don't mind making Frankenstein horny if you do it in a way that's interesting. This just kind of felt like a barely concealed fetish, which was disappointing. Because, again, there's a lot, like, I would be lulled into moments of, oh, this is a good movie, actually. And then something would happen, and I'm like, dang it. This close. So, really interesting. I'm glad I watched it. Tony Todd in this movie, making the blind hermit, like, an unhoused man who, like, takes the creature under his wing, I thought was a really cool move with it. I loved it. I love that. Like, Tony Todd is just amazing. Rest in peace, King. Truly a horror icon who did not get his roses. But, so, like, there's things in this movie that are really good, and then, like, some weird stuff would happen, and I'm like, alright. This was a weird one to watch. I watched this with a group of friends, and the number of times that the chat would pop up and just be like, whoa, what? Ew, what? No! It was really funny. I love my friends. So that was directed by Bernard Rose. And again, yeah, just some good ideas that are unfortunately awash in a lot of not great. Next one, Frankenstein from 1992, directed by David Wicks, starring Randy Quaid as the monster, and Patrick Bergin as Victor. This, again, another version that I had never heard of before. I was just kind of hanging around in the Frankenstein Reddit, and every so often somebody just posts a thing being like, what do we think of this movie? What are our thoughts on this movie? And this was one of them, and I was like, I have never heard of this version before, so I got on Thrift Books, and I found a copy of it, I ordered it, had it, and it's really weird, but in a good way, like a positive weird, in the way the other one was kind of a negative weird. This was a weird good, because in this one, the monster is, like, made from Victor. Like, Victor does this, like, whole process that, like, sort of copies himself, sort of, and so the monster, once it's made and escapes, because he is made from Victor, him and Victor have this, like, psychic, empathetic connection to each other. Like, when the creature gets injured, like, Victor will feel the pain, and like, when the monster is, like, really scared, or when things are, like, super heightened, Victor, like, starts to panic, and he doesn't know why, which was really cool. I think in all of the versions I see of people being like, ooh, the monster and Victor, they're basically the same guy, I've never really bought into it. I've never really liked it. looking at you, National Theater production with Benedict Cumberbatch. But this was like a really interesting way to do that in a way that like complicates the situation, because when you are literally feeling for this creation that you hate, like how does that change your response to him? What does that do? So this was a really interesting version. I really enjoyed it. As well as I think the Hermit in this one is done really well. 'Cause the Hermit, like, he thinks that the creature is like an escaped convict or something like that. And he's like the only person looking out for the creature, and the creature knows it. And so when he keeps being like, get out of here, go, like, I'll hold him off or stuff like that. And the creature is like, no, you won't. I love you too much. Like, it's really sweet. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I don't know when we'll do an episode on this one, but I would really like to. I feel like I gotta put a little bit of space between this one and Dan Curtis's Frankenstein, because we can only talk about TV movies so much. So get a couple other ones in the mix here before we get started on that. Oh, another interesting thing about this one is Elizabeth finds out about Victor's science, and at one point he tells her, like, yeah, and he wants me to make him a bride, and she's like, okay, I'll be the blueprint. In the way that the monster is made from you, you can make the bride from me. And she fully volunteers, and Victor's like, you really don't have to do that, like, it could be dangerous, like, it could really hurt you. And she's like, I want to help, and I'm going to help. And I was like, that's so cool. Like, I love when they give Elizabeth cool things to do. And this was a cool one. So if you've never heard of it, feel free to check it out. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere. It's in the Warner Brothers collection, so it might be on, like, Max or something. But it's really cool. I, unfortunately, am cursed with the burden of, if there is a Frankenstein movie, I have to own it. So the moment I found out it existed, I bought it. And then, yes! Frankenstein Legacy. Okay, so somehow my father's smart TV has figured out that I exist and has started tormenting my father by anytime it's like swapping through, like, hey, maybe you should watch this. Here's something that we would recommend. It always gives him weird Frankenstein movies. Which, you're welcome, Dad. I love you. And this was one of them. And I was like, what the hell is that? And I took one look at the poster and I was like, this looks like hot garbage. I can't wait. And then I watched it. And it's good. It's really good. I've been describing it to friends as a great movie that is trapped in a bad budget. Because there's a lot of things, like, it just needed a bigger budget so that it could do more. But what it gives us is pretty cool, and I really, really like it. The sort of plot of this one is Frankenstein's journal got taken from him, from Victor as he was dying in the Arctic, and it's sort of been, not passed down, but it keeps getting stolen, because, like, somebody was like, it keeps getting, like, traded on the black market, but every time, like, somebody buys it, they kill the person who sold it to them, because it's, like, just an ultimate black market secret. So people will pay big money for this book, but there's also people who want to make sure that book doesn't get in anybody's hands. And so there is just this, like, trail of death that follows that journal. And we, in this movie, follow a female... she's not a doctor because she was not allowed to be a doctor, but a female scientist who she finds the journal, and she starts using it to try to cure her husband's illness, because he is sick in some variety, and she's like, I'm gonna cure this, I'm gonna solve this, and he's like, babe, you really don't have to, just live with me and we'll be happy. Cause they're an older couple. I would guess late 50s, early 60s or so. So they're an older couple. They have 2 children, a daughter and a son. And the son is not on here, and he's the main character. He's my favorite. I love him. I can't remember what his name is, but he's my favorite. Because what essentially what winds up happening is a gang comes looking for the journal, and they think the dad has it, and so they kind of beat him up, and he eventually passes, and his son, who is a doctor at the local asylum, who's had patients go missing, she starts having patients go missing, as well as he finds his father's body has been removed from its grave. And we are also following the mother, who's taking all of these bodies because she wants to bring her husband back and make him like stronger and better and all this stuff. And so it's a really cool dynamic of like the mom's like selfishness and absolute concentration on the work and the important work that she has to do, and her son, who they've always kind of been at odds, and they're both scientists. He's a doctor, and he is a doctor, and you know she would be if she was allowed to take the test to be a doctor. And so like they've always had disagreements about like ethics in medicine and all these things, and it's just beautiful and delightfully complicated and just like really good. Like there's some phenomenal scenes in this that if Frankenstein Legacy has 0 fans, then I am dead, because this movie is awesome. Some of the special effects look not great, because again, a great movie trapped in a bad budget, but it's so fun. Oh, it's so fun. I love this movie. I don't, it's from 2024, so I don't know if we can remake it already, but if it just had a bigger budget, this could be the next thing, you know? If you like Frankenstein, if you're watching this live stream, like, God, I hope you like Frankenstein, otherwise what the hell are you doing here? But if you like Frankenstein novels and Frankenstein stories, this is a really good one. I think it's streaming, I think it's like on Tubi or something like that. One of those, yeah, free with ads kind of a things. I have it on Blu-ray because I was like, I need this movie in my pocket today. And it's delightful. This movie is so fun. The main character, I think his name is Ben or William, because it is astonishing to me that the main character is not on the cover of this movie. Like we've got the creature and we've got Mom, but we don't have William. His name is William. I figured it was a thing. Played by Matt Barber. Matt Barber, you did great, babe. I'm so proud of you. Like this is awesome. Please keep it up. But yeah, this movie is so fun. I love it. I'm gonna keep loving it. And I'm gonna be the prophet of Frankenstein Legacy, spreading the good news, because this movie's so good. And then, of course, I don't have a physical thing to hold for it other than, I suppose, this guy again. But the year of 2025 was, of course, rocked by Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein film. I saw it 3 times in theaters. And I have watched it several times now at home on Netflix. What a film, you guys. We already did a kind of mini... Excuse me. We did kind of a mini video talking about the Guillermo del Toro Frankenstein, because it wound up hitting me at a very particular time in my life. And I talk more about it in the video. But first off, if nothing else, what a gorgeous film. Like, Guillermo del Toro is so good at making things that are just so visually stunning, and I absolutely love. Like, if nothing else, gorgeous film. But the film itself was honestly quite fabulous. I know there's a lot of discourse and conversation that's been happening around it, of like people who are very militant about the book, who are like, oh, this movie wasn't faithful to the book, and like all this stuff, and I get some of that frustration for sure. But I think it's fine if a movie is not faithful to the book, if the ways that it deviates are also interesting and still speak to the themes, which it does. It do in a big way. Like, I have frustrations with this movie for sure. I don't super appreciate the way that Victor is kind of maligned and made to be just an absolute idiot, but that is kind of speaking to, you know, he's a Silicon Valley bro, essentially, which I think is a really interesting, you know, commentary on the now, because I forget who said it, but every Frankenstein that is made speaks to its era, which is part of why I have era as a tenet in the show, because the way that, like, a Frankenstein story speaks about, you know, its creature, the things that it is afraid of, will show up. And so, yeah, I think Victor, as this, like, Silicon Valley bro who's getting his funding from a literal warmonger to make this, you know, superhuman for the rich and powerful, I think that's really cool. And I love... I'm always a fan of creators taking their lives as inspiration and kind of using story to kind of process things from their life. So I know some people were kind of huffy about, like, oh, this is, you know, if Guillermo del Toro wanted to do a biography, he should have just done a biography and not talked about Frankenstein. So, well, except for the fact that the number of people who were saying stuff about Guillermo del Toro not understanding Frankenstein, ridiculous. Like, I cannot comprehend what lengths you're reaching to say something like that. Like, Guillermo del Toro worships at the altar of Frankenstein in a big way, and it shows. Like, there are things that I don't agree with artistically in the movie, sure, but, like, to say he doesn't understand Frankenstein is just false. There were two really phenomenal video essays that I watched that I really thought were good. One was Kaz Rowe's video. I think it's just called The Frankenstein Discourse is Bad, Let's Talk About It. Yeah, it's this one right here. The Frankenstein Discourse is Bad, Let's Talk About It. Which I think is, it talks really well about a lot of the frustrations that people had, because apparently Kaz went and saw it with their partner, and their partner, who is also a big Frankenstein fan, did not like the movie. And so it really kind of posits a good kind of balancing of, like, here's the frustrations that a lot of people have had, but as well as, like, talking about critical thinking, media literacy, and whatnot, which very good. Very good video essay. It's about like an hour or so. And then the other one that I recently saw was from Princess Weeks, who is just a phenomenal voice. I love listening to her talk about Gothic works. Her video was called... Oh, it was just straight up called Why Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein Actually Understands the Novel. Very good video. Really enjoyed that one. She really lays out Guillermo's process, really. Like, the way she talks about, like, breaking down the themes of Frankenstein and showing how they relate to the film, and especially not just Frankenstein the novel, but also going through the Universal movies and such like that. Really loved it. The one like criticism I had was she was very like she made a comment about like the novel not being very morally gray, to which I disagree with wholeheartedly. I think the novel is morally gray, and I think that's part of the appeal. And I think that's why a lot of people had like very like were frustrated with the movie, is that it paints Victor aggressively, unapologetically awful. He's just terrible in the movie. But you know, in the novel, he's a little more complicated. He is still kind of awful, but the monster also does some things that are very awful, and that's kind of half of the appeal to me, is that these are very flawed, very real creatures, people who are trying to figure out the best thing to do in a situation, and getting the answers wrong. Aggressively getting the answers wrong. But I think that's so human, and that's so good. I like that. Yeah. Yes, no, exactly. Again, the Guillermo del Toro's film was beautiful. There are things about it that are frustrating to me artistically, and things that I wish were slightly different, but overall, absolutely stunning. I can't wait to get it on Blu-ray and add it to my collection, because I want it. You know, now that I already have 2 giant books that don't fit on the shelf, but you know, let's take up some more space. And that kind of leads into what I wanted to talk about here at the end of the stream, which is us here at the Uncanny Productions. If you watched the video that we did about Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, where I spent a good chunk of it just kind of crying, 2025. What a year. What a really rough year. We started it with nowhere to go, because I lost my house. Not lost my house. The house I was staying in got sold, and so it was like I had to find somewhere else to live, and you know, so we spent a good chunk of time staying in my grandparents' basement and just, you know, trying to figure out what the next steps are gonna be, and trying to help, you know, find the new house, and you know, all that jazz, which is crazy. So we started the year already kind of at a deficit, and then trying to stay active creatively was simply not happening, because part of the new living situation was I got a new job, and I was working that job full time so that I could get insurance and all that jazz, and that job was, oh man, it was killing me in a way that was not great. And I tried to just kind of push through it, and it wasn't working, and I had 0 time and 0 energy for pretty much anything else, and it was really, really frustrating. Like, so much of the things that I wanted to do this year for this channel, I just couldn't do, and I was feeling like a really bad creator because I didn't have anything to give you guys. Like, the most I did this year, I think, was make the, I refurbished our website, theuncannyproductions.com. You can see the link down here. I refurbished our website, and I got things updated there, and I was trying to do some stuff on the Patreon. I did that write up on The Monster Made by Man, which was nice. But overall, I really wasn't doing anything for any part of the channel, and it was really frustrating to me because first off, I want to make things just for myself. I like making things. I like Frankenstein, and I like talking about it, and I like finding ways to share with you the things that make me excited about Frankenstein. But I just didn't. I just couldn't. Like, it was bad. It was really bad. But also in that video, I talk about how I am part-time at my job now, so I have a lot more time to work on other things, including this. And this is something that I really want to double down on and keep working at. We did not manage to get the next episode of the FrankenFiles out before the end of the year, but that episode is currently under construction. Like, we filmed, we've got everything, I've got the clips for it, we're working on it now, so it is coming, and soon, and I'm really excited about that. Like I said, I refurbished our Patreon, and now I'm trying to work on at least doing something with the patrons, ideally at least once a month, ideally more if I can get it, but shooting primarily for at least once a month. Patrons actually voted on what day we were doing this live stream. They picked today. And the most recent thing that they voted on was what the next episode of the FrankenFiles will be on. And that's really exciting. So if you want to be a part of our Patreon, we have a Patreon. You'll find us at The Uncanny Productions. We only have one tier at the moment because, again, I haven't been doing a lot on the Patreon, so I wanna justify. It feels wrong for me because we haven't done very much this past year. It feels wrong to charge more than $1, and that is what our basic tier. Like, we only have the one tier, and it's $1. Ideally, I would love to do. I'd love to do, some patron-only streams. I would love to do, I'd love to do more polls with them, of having them pick stuff. Oh, what's the next episode? You want to know? Okay. So I gave them the option between, what was the options? It was Victor Frankenstein. I think it was Victor Frankenstein, Frankenstein Legacy, the Frankenstein play that I talked about last year, Playing with Fire after Frankenstein, and a book called The Dark Descent of Elizabeth Frankenstein. And they voted for The Dark Descent. This is a phenomenal book. I'm really enjoying rereading it, because the first time I read it, most of this book is Frankenstein, but from Elizabeth's perspective, with emphasis on what a woman had to do to get by in the past. Like, the things that women have to do in order to survive. And with Elizabeth, especially talking about, like, the privilege that she has being a part of this wealthy family, but also knowing that, like, if she doesn't, like, do her job of taking care of Victor, she could lose that place in this family. And her trying to use, like, her power as a wealthy family to help people she sees. So, like, you get to, Justine and Elizabeth's relationship is a big emphasis in this book. And, like, she tries to, like, save Justine because she sees Justine is in, like, a really, like, awful life position. And she's like, I want to help her because when I was in a terrible position like that, you guys helped me. But it's more complicated than that as well. So most of the book is just Frankenstein, but from Elizabeth's perspective. And then about 2/3 of the way through, it takes a hard left. And you'll hear all about it in the next episode of the FrankenFiles. I'm planning to do more things with the patrons, just because I want you guys to feel justified in the fact that you are giving us money for us to make this show. So if you got any ideas about things that you would like to see from us, let me know. But yeah, patrons voted. The next episode of the FrankenFiles, after the Dan Curtis episode that has yet to come out, is going to be about the Dark Descent of Elizabeth Frankenstein. So we're going to talk about women. #women. I'm excited. But yeah, so moving forward, that is what you can expect from us. We're trying to do more things, be more active, do more stuff. I'm still working on the Frankenfiles themselves, but I'm also dabbling a little bit with some other things. There's kind of a sketch series that I've always wanted to make that a friend of mine recently reminded me, and that would be really fun to do. So we might see about trying to do more sketches like that. I'd like to see about doing more memento memorandums as well, of just like off the cuff, unscripted. I'd love to do more streams as well. I don't know exactly what you guys would want. I know we've talked about doing like more Frankenstein video games. I know we talked about doing Frankenstein tier lists, talking about like ranking different portrayals of the monster and Victor. So those are always options. Yeah, if you have any ideas of what you'd like to see from us, feel free to let us know. Always looking for more ideas and more fun things that we can do. But yeah, at the very least, I can promise you there will be more stuff this year. I promise. We will get. I'm hoping for at least 2 episodes of the Frankenfiles, at least another stream, and something else. I'm leaving a space for something else that would just be fun. I don't know exactly what it's gonna be. The way I tend to operate is very often by vibes. So if I encounter a something and I'm like, we're gonna do that, then we're gonna do that. We are also looking at hopefully doing Frankenstein again. We're also talking about bringing it to other cons, because mostly we've been to Grand Rapids Comic Con because it's the closest one. But yeah, so we'd like to do more things like that. We're just doing more things in all places, and that has been really great for me, because again, I love doing this. I love talking to you guys. I love making stuff for you guys. And it's just been good to be back in it. So yeah, the next episode that you can expect from us is going to be that Dan Curtis Frankenstein. Hopefully, I don't want to put a hard deadline on it, because I feel like every time I set a hard deadline, I miss it, and I don't want to disappoint you. But I would say at least within the next couple of months here. We're in the editing phase, so it shouldn't take too long, but you know, editing is a long process. Mostly, I just want to reiterate my promise to you that I want to make things, and I want to make things in a big way. And so I am now in a position where I am able to do more and able to feel to feel like I can, and to be able to like focus on things like the Patreon, the making more scripts, doing more shows, doing more things. So you will get more from us this year, I promise. Like, I am never doing that again. Because it was bad for me, it was bad for the channel, it was bad for everybody involved, but I want to make it happen, because I love you guys. I love this show. I love that you guys give me this opportunity to do this. So that's really exciting. Oh, the only other thing of talking about, I should have done this before I talked about us. Anticipating in this new year, the things that we have to come. The Bride, from directed by Maggie Gyllenhaal. We talked about it a little bit last year, because I thought it was coming out in 2025. I was wrong. It's coming out this year in 2026. I'm still not totally sure what it is exactly, because I wasn't sure if it was a remake of The Bride of Frankenstein or a remake of The Bride, but it seems to be kind of doing its own thing, which is also really cool. And I know I talked negatively about it last year when all we had was those promotional photos, because I didn't like the fact that the monster looked like the Joker from Suicide Squad. But having watched the trailer that came out, I am very interested and excited about what they're going to be doing with those characters. So we got The Bride to look forward to. You've got us to look forward to. There will be more Frankenstein in the future. Of that, there can be no doubt. But yeah, so If you have any ideas of things that you would like to see from us, feel free to drop them in the comments. Feel free to email us. Our email address is upfrankenfiles@gmail.com. If you go to our website, theuncannyproductions.com, there's a contact us page. You can send us messages through there. I'm usually the one who receives them. But yeah, please reach out to us. It's so fun getting to hear from you guys. We've gotten some really lovely emails this year. I mean, the Dan Curtis movie, I only found out about that because one of you emailed me and was like, hey, you should check out this movie. And I loved it. So, you know, please reach out. We'd love to talk to you. We'd love to hear what you enjoy, what you want to see from us next. It's always a delight. So, but yeah, that's the FrankenState of the Union, you guys. A lot of really good things this year. I'm very curious how I'm going to top it next year, but I'm going to try, gosh darn it. From all of us here at The Uncanny Productions, 2025 was a rough time, but we made it through. We survived, and we are here now in 2026, getting through it even more. And the world is a very scary place right now, for sure, and we don't know what's gonna happen. But one thing I can promise you is we're gonna get through it. And I'll be here. I'm gonna keep talking about Frankenstein. I'm gonna keep talking about the things that make me excited, and I would love to talk about those things with you. So, if nothing else, when things are falling apart, you can always stitch them back together. But rest in peace, 2025, 2026. Let's do it. And let's do it together. So, toast. Thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out and watching this stream. It's been really fun. There will always be more Frankenstein to talk about. I am never going to shut up. But for now, I will, if only to let you guys go and have a great rest of your evening. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!